Thank you for joining me in JT's Vintage Card Room, hosted by me, JT. I am going to talk about and show, I'm going to break this up into two videos, the 1933 Goudey set, considered by many to be one of the top three sets of all time, along with the 52 top set and the T206 set, the Monster, aka the Monster. I would probably, if I had to choose a fourth, go with the Cracker Jack sets, the 14 and 15, and put those two together. So, yeah, those to me are the greatest vintage sets of all time. But before I get into the Goudey set and some of its wonderful cards, I want to show you the latest JT gear. This is the JT's Vintage Card Room shirt with the back, the main moniker of the show, trading paper for cardboard. I'm going to bring a few of these to Strongsville to pass around. I don't have a ton of them, but I will pass around a few to some of my some of the people that have really follow the channel and have given me advice over the years, and also talked up my channel and shouted me out and all those other great things. So the least I can do for what some of you have done for me. So yeah, let's just get right into this 33 Goudey set. 240 total cards in the set. I already said widely regarded as one of the top three sets of all time. There are 66 Hall of Famers, and before some of you start yelling at me and say, well, no, there's only 64. Two of the cards, Lefty O'Doul has two. He is considered a Japanese Hall of Famer, and I'll get into why when we get to his cards. So I'm including him in this set. This set, in my mind, is just about complete. I am missing the Lajoie, which most people are missing the Lajoie. And I am also missing one of the Gehrig's, number 92. I have 160. And I'm not really in a rush to go out and rush and get him, because it's the exact same card as the 160. And I have one of the four Ruths. I would like to get the other three over time, and they are on my wish list. But I only have one for now. So the three Ruths, the Lajoie, and one Gehrig. Those are what I'm missing. Otherwise, I have the whole set. Most of the set is raw in a binder. I'm going to show a few raw cards, and then all of the Hall of Famers, most of which are graded. And I have a few that are commons that are graded, but I'm gonna focus on a select few. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to break this into two parts because there's too many cards, and I know the attention span of most of us, including myself, probably limited to 15 or 20 minutes. So I'm going to try to do this in two parts. So let's get right into it. First card, and certainly an iconic card, is the Benny Bengo, which Benny was, for the most part, a career backup catcher, mostly with the Yankees. He really only had one season of 160 at-bats or more, which is a testament to the fact that he was pretty much a backup. And the one season that he did more than that, putting these away as I go, which was 1925, he had 283 at-bats with no homers and 23 RBIs and a 258 batting average, I think it was. So nothing terribly impressive. Interesting that Goudey decided to make him card number one. Certainly didn't do it right, like let's say the 89 Upper Deck card where they used the kid, Ken Griffey Jr. as the number one card. But I guess it's kind of common. 52 Tops used Andy Pafko, although Andy Pafko was a all-star outfielder and certainly an above-average ball player, but not a Hall of Famer. I'm just going to hit some cards that I just like the way they look. This is Bob O'Farrell from the St. Louis Cardinals. I just love the backgrounds with the buildings, the different colors in the background. You will notice in this set that some have this big league chewing gum on the bottom, the banner on the bottom. Some don't. Most of the ones in the early part of the set do have it, and most of the ones in the later part of the set do not, but there are some that kind of go in and out with that. But I'm a fan of that. Here's the first Hall of Famer that I have that's not graded. I have often thought about getting this graded, but it's been years now, and it's just not enough of a value of a card to really get it graded. But this is Jim Bottomley, and so that's him. Here's another Hall of Famer, Heine Manouche. Heine and Joe Cronin both had 3 cards in the set. Of course, Ruth famously has 4. Interesting that these two both are Hall of Famers. Both were fantastic ball players, but there's some much better guys that should have had more than 1 or 2 in there. Jimmy Fox comes to mind, right away. Garrick only had 2, for God's sakes, and we have 3 Heine Manouche cards. Go figure. I just love the way this card works. Joe Morrissey. It is the yellow sun background, full sun background with the green grass. It's just, I don't know, it's just a great image. Really like that one. Fred Schulte. When I first, maybe it's Schulte. When I first saw this card, I thought maybe it was the same guy from the T206 Wildfire Schulte, but it's not. This was only his 2nd year, I believe, for Fred, but cool colors on this one. Harold Schumacher. These cards are starting to get a little bit on the higher numbers. This is number 129. So I'm just going to show all the raw cards in this first installment. It'll just be graded cards in the second installment. And most of the big monster cards of this set are in the high numbers, in my opinion. So love the deep maroonish color. Again, I'm a little colorblind, but to me that looks maroon, of Red Lucas. Here's Paul Richards, obviously a catcher. Later on became a manager. Some of his manager cards, one of them in particular, I believe it's the 52 Bowman, has a caricature of him. English language. Anyway, the caricature of him is pretty funny. He's got a pretty wild look on it. I should have pulled it out, but again, trying to go up and down these stairs is tough enough. I was able to get some help from my family to grab these cards. This is one of my favorite ones, Joe Judge. I just showed in my last video a Joe Judge from the 29 Cashin publications set that I am not really working on that set, but I am getting cards. I'm accumulating cards. I haven't fully committed to doing the full set, but I am definitely in the accumulation stage. But this Joe Judge, it really, that's a really awesome image. Here's Joe Sewell. What's famous about Joe Sewell? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? Joe Sewell struck out so few times. I mean, it's, let me grab the statistics. He struck out a total of 114 times in his career. Now, this is a Hall of Famer. He played from 1920 to 1933, had over 7,000 at-bats, 7,132 to be exact. He had a brother who played as well. To strike out only 114 times in a career that spanned 14 years and 7,000 plus at-bats is just incredible. And what, maybe you did know that first stat. Maybe you don't know the second stat about Joe Sewell. Joe Sewell got his start when he was called up by the Indians after Ray Chapman got killed by a baseball. He got hit in the head and died. And they needed someone to come in and fill in for him. Here's the back. And so he came up for the Indians right after Ray Chapman had passed and filled in for him, and then spent a lot of years with the Yankees too. Here is a Joe Cronin card. Again, this is a little up there in as far as the numbers, number 189. Looks like if I hold it like this, it gives the best non-glare option. That's a nice card. A lot of different colors and a good image of him. Again, one of 3 in the set for him. This is one I'm sure Orlando likes and has talked about in the past, from Orlando from Collector's Dream. Um, this is Adolfo Luque. Apologies, Orlando, if I pronounce his name incorrectly. I know he watches the channel, but this is a great looking card. One of the Cuban stars that played in baseball. I don't know if he's certainly one of the early ones. I don't think he was the first, but at the time of this card's printing, he was the only Cuban player playing in the major leagues in the 1932 season, which is what this 33 Goudey represents. I'm sure if you watch some of Orlando's videos, which I'm sure a lot of you who watch my channel, certainly a ton more watch his, he would tell you a whole lot more about Adolfo Luque. Here's Charlie Root. Not only is this a great card, but there's a good story behind Charlie Root. I'm sure most of you know it, but Charlie Root was the pitcher who threw the called shot by Babe Ruth in the World Series with the Cubs. 1932, I think. Might have been wrong on that. But great looking card, and not a great story for Charlie. I'm sure it's one he probably wishes most people would forget, but that's the way baseball is. It's about statistics and events and stuff like that. Here's a lefty O'Doul. As I mentioned, he is a member of the Japanese Hall of Fame. He did have a long playing career. He's borderline Hall of Famer. You can certainly make a case for him. I mean, he was one of the great hitters for a period of 3 or 4 years in the league. Led the league in hitting a few times, I believe. And after his career, he coached in the Pacific Coast League, the PCL. And he, and along with Joe DiMaggio, spent a lot of time in Japan after World War II. I think it was before and after World War II, introducing American baseball to the Japanese. And he is considered an integral reason why the Japanese are so into baseball. And hence, he is the first American player to be inducted into the Japanese Hall of Fame. So I thought I would include him. This card I put in just because I think it's one of the scariest looking dudes. I want to get a nice close look at that in baseball card history. Look at the eyes on this guy. Doesn't it look like he's a killer? Those blue eyes look right through you. That is just, I don't know. I like the brown background, but that guy's look is pretty scary to me. Anyway. And then, of course, I showed the first card, Bengo, and we'll end it with the last card, which is Harold Schumacher. He has another card also in the set. He has 2. So that's the significance of that. I'm keeping an eye on the time. I'm going to try to keep this as quick as possible. Here are the Hall of Famers that I have that are graded. This is Ted Lyons. I love the look of this card. With the Chicago on his shirt. He played for the White Sox. Nice 5 grade I have on that. Bill Dickey, great catcher for the Yankees. Obviously, that's who Benny backed up. Bill Terry, first baseman. Last player for the National League to hit over 400. I think he had 401. Pie Trainer. For the El Presidente, Mr. Mangini, my paisan, one of his Pirate Hall of Famers. Speaking of Mr. Mangini, I just learned that it's not Kiki Kyler, it's Kai Kyler. As John said in one of his recent videos, it's because he stuttered. I guess he was trying to pronounce his last name, Kai Kyler. So I just always learning something in this hobby, which is great. I think it's a great part of the hobby. History is always fun to learn. Here's one of my favorites, Paul Wainer. This is Big Poison. His brother Lloyd, Little Poison, also has a card in this set. I think he will show up in the second video. I think his number's a little higher. But I love this card. I picked this up at the Philly show raw and had it graded. I was actually hoping it was, at the time it was a 3, but clearly it is a 2, and may not even be a 2 today anymore. This one is gorgeous. Jimmy Fox, really sharp card. I wish they didn't show the same image twice. Jimmy's got two cards. It's essentially the exact same image. They should have done something like they did for Rogers Hornsby. Two different poses. And even the Cronin and the Manouche is a little different too. But Fox is too important of a player to have the exact same card, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. For those of you who look closely, here's Tony Lazzari. This is not a Goudey. It is a Worldwide Gum card. So, which means it was produced in Canada. Montreal, to be exact. Back has some of it in English and some of it in French. No, not in French. I'm wrong. I thought it would be in French. But, yeah, so I don't have this card in a Goudey, but it's hard. I mean, I don't see the point of replacing it. It's the exact same image. This is a beautiful card in really nice shape. So, yeah, that I am including as part of my 33 Goudey set. And it's, you know, this is a hobby where you can make your own rules. you could decide what makes a set, I guess. Al Simmons. Bucketfoot, I think that was his nickname. Bucketfoot. One of the 5 players that Carl Hubble struck out in this famous All-Star game, I think in 1933. Might have been 32 or 34. Here's an all-time great, Eddie Collins. This is when he was with the Red Sox. I think towards the end of his career, he played for the A's. Here's Frankie Frisch. I realized just now that I may have missed somebody. Maybe not. Here's Charlie Ruffing. Look at that blue. That blue's amazing. With the white shirt and the brownish hat. Looks brown to me. Here's another lefty O'Doul. Yeah, this might have been the one that's out of order. Wait. It's a cool image. Speaking of deep colors, how about that deep blue in this Joe Cronin? This is my favorite Joe Cronin card of this set. Just a really nice looking card. Most of these cards that I'm showing you today were all purchased before the pandemic, thank God, because some of them have really gotten out of reach, especially some of the big boys. Here's Burley Grimes, another one with that colors very rich and deep in that blue. Jesse Haynes, Hall of Famer, but in my opinion, kind of a borderline guy. Not a terribly expensive card. Then we have Eparixi, kind of the same as Jesse Haynes. Not regarded as a high-end Hall of Famer, but a Hall of Famer nonetheless. Here's a high-end Hall of Famer, Mickey Cochran. That's a beauty with that great deep red. Speaking of colorblind. Oh, look at this. I just noticed this. This has one of those, the hell were they called back then? I can't remember the name of the company because they were so bad. That A on the back. Woo! That must mean it's worth a whole lot more. Red Faber. Tris Speaker. This might be the only card that is in Guy that has a card in the Goudey and the T206 set. I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong about that. But that is, it just occurred to me that he might be the only one. Travis Jackson. I'm starting to think more about that. Maybe he's not the only one. Stonewall Jackson. Another one of those really deep colors. The colors and the depth of them, I think, with this set really bring, the registration. I think it really does a whole lot for a card. This card, if it was a lighter blue or didn't have that deep consistency throughout it, I think would detract from its value. And I know it's not about the value, but it does certainly increase the aesthetics of the card, in my opinion. Another Heine Manouche. Last few in this installment. Joe Cronin. Manouche Cronin. A lot of those. Leon Goose Goslin. I love his other card that he has. That just reminds me of an All-American card, red, white, and blue. But this one's just kind of tame, a little light green. Rabbit Moranville. And the last three. The Roger Hornsby. I don't know which one I like better. I think they're both awesome. Maybe the manager one, the manager post. Bill Terry. He looks pissed off too. I don't know what these guys look so pissed off about. And speaking of pissed off, I don't know if there's anybody in baseball that looks more pissed off than this guy. Great card though. Mel Ott. Every card, well, I should say every card, but a lot of his cards, he just looks like he is one angry mug. But this is a beauty. I'm really glad I got this. I got this from Stan. I don't know why I remember that I got it from Stan. A lot of my big cards I got from Stan. But that'll be it for this showing. I will do a second showing. I'll probably release it sometime next week on this set, and I'll show the second half of all those cards. But just remember, we're trading paper for cardboard. Do it responsibly, but it's just paper for cardboard. Enjoy your day.